The spread of misinformation on social media platforms has become increasingly common and concerning, especially as many built-in fact-checking tools have been either scaled back or eliminated entirely. This has a lot of people wondering, how do you separate truth from fiction, or at least fact from fiction? To help us get a little guidance on this, we turn to our tech guy, Rich Brooks of Flight New Media in Portland. So how do we sort of become our own fact checkers? I think that's the question in a lot of people's minds, Rich. But let's begin with the story of what has happened to the built-in fact-checking tools that used to be on a lot of the social media platforms.
Yeah, you're right. They have reduced or removed a lot of these fact-checking tools. Famously, Elon Musk, when he bought Twitter, now X, got rid of an entire department and a lot of the software that stopped that misinformation. And then more recently, Mark Zuckerberg on Facebook got rid of a lot of their tools. And different people have different reasons why this happens. Some people feel it's cost cutting. Some people feel that it's just social media. It's not their job to do this. And then, of course, there's changes in political fortune. But whatever the reason is, we are now more responsible than ever for checking facts online.
So the fact-checking built-in things that were there before have become less common. So that leaves people wondering, well, gee, I see some head-spinning headline or fact or something on some social media platform. How do I figure out if this is accurate or not?
Yeah, I think the first step is to take a deep breath. Because if you see something on social media that just gets you so outraged, your first question should be, is this likely to be true, or is this rage bait? Meaning, did somebody put this out just to get people upset? And it sounds crazy, but remember that social media rewards posts that get more engagement, and a shortcut to getting people engaged is to getting them outraged. So taking a step back and thinking about that question is a great way to go forward. And when I was doing this research, I saw somebody share this infographic, and I was like, just my blood started boiling, and before I could even react, I noticed in the comments somebody said, what's the context of this information? And somebody else said, yeah, what is the source of this infographic? And that actually restored my faith in humanity.
That's a step in the right direction. Let's sort of zoom in and just talk about Maine. For sources of information and news in Maine, how can people know if what they're looking at is reliable or not?
Right, and I think some people have lost trust in what's called mainstream media, but the fact is these established news organizations have a lot of safety features in place: editorial teams, journalistic integrity, fact checkers, a certain number of people that experts they need to interview. Those are usually trustworthy sources, and when I did my research online, there are independent news checkers, and they actually rated in Maine Portland Press Herald, Bangor Daily News, and News Center Maine as very trustworthy and very factual and balanced organizations. That doesn't mean that news organizations don't have biases and don't get things wrong occasionally. But if you see a news source and you've never heard of it, visit their website. If the About page looks like it was put up yesterday and they don't seem to have any sort of establishment there, chances are it's not going to be as trustworthy as some of the news sources that you grew up with.
Images and videos can be particularly tricky. They can appear to be convincing, but they're so easily manipulated. What's the best way to deal with them?
Yeah, that's troubling, because people have been using and misusing images for a long time to tell their story. For images, one thing you can do is take that image and drop it into Google's reverse image search, and that will tell you where the image came from. Because sometimes people say, look at these photos of the fights at the protest last night in Portland, Maine, and you do a reverse image search and it turns out that photo was from Seattle in 2004. For videos, AI's deepfakes are getting more and more believable, so that's a problem. But if you see a video, you can often find out, are other news sources using that video, or maybe a video of the same scene but from a different angle? And if you can't find those, sometimes by looking at the lip movements, that will give you a heads up that it's been manipulated in some way.
That's a good point. Here's another interesting area. Misinformation that is passed along by friends, by relatives, yeah, clutch your heart indeed, who truly believe that what they're sharing is truthful.
Yeah, so what I would say is what not to do is to take them to task in the comments, because that's just going to make them upset and dig in their heels. If you feel like you have to say something, I would recommend DMing them. Say, hey, I noticed you were really interested in this topic. I found some news source that you might find interesting. And that might be one way to do it. But the other thing is, maybe it's not worth saying anything. Because even if your crazy uncle believes crazy things, chances are you're going to be sitting across from the table with him at Thanksgiving, and it might just not be worth saying anything.
So for people who want to get better at fact checking, there are some places where they can go. What are some of the tools that you like?
Yeah, Snopes.com, factchecker.org, and PolitiFact are 3 independently vetted places that are really good at debunking social media viral claims, and those are great places to check out.
And final thoughts on navigating social media?
Yeah, I would just basically say that I don't want people to become cynical, but I do think it's important for us to be skeptical of the claims that we see on social media. And if you find yourself really getting agitated, maybe the best thing to do is to step away from social media and go hang out with people that you really care about in real life, even if it's your crazy uncle.
What a thought. Rich Brooks from Flight New Media, thank you as always. And we've got all of those sources that Rich mentioned. You'll find them on our app or website in the 207 section. Stay with us. We'll return right after this.